I don't know, but whatever you're doing wrong, I'm doing it as well. My son's room stinks to high heaven. I have a 110-pound black lab who just sleeps on his bed. And so it smells like gym socks and wet dog.
What's doing, everybody? I'm Alec Lace. Thank you for watching First Class Fatherhood. Today's guest on the podcast is Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla is a legendary podcaster and host of the Adam Carolla podcast. Before he got into the podcasting business, he was the co-creator and co-host of The Man Show. He's also the co-creator of Crank Yankers. You've seen him on Dancing with the Stars and also The Celebrity Apprentice. He's a New York Times best-selling author as well. It's a big honor to have him on the podcast. So go down there, smack the subscribe button, tap that like, and let's jump into it right now with Adam Carolla on First Class Fatherhood. Joining me now, First Class Father, Adam Carolla. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Thanks for having me, Alec.
Let's kick it off like this. How many kids do you have? How old are they?
I have two boy-girl twins. They're 14 years of age.
Yeah, very cool. What kind of sports or activities are they into?
My daughter's very much into volleyball and socializing, and my son used to be into basketball, and now he's into sort of stats and sports. He's into sports stats, basically. So he knows many more players in the NBA and their stats than he does his actual ability to dribble a basketball anymore. So he's kind of taking the nerd route, and my daughter's taking the jock route.
Very cool. If you could, Adam, just take 1 second here to hit my listeners with a little bit about your background and what you do.
I was a carpenter that turned boxing instructor, that went from boxing instructor to radio host to television personality to podcaster to author to documentarian.
Yeah, you've had an incredibly successful career, Adam. Along this journey, then, about how old were you when you became a dad, and how did that kind of change your perspective on life?
I became a dad late in life. I was 42 years of age when I became a dad, and it didn't really shape my perspective on life too much because I kind of waited for a long period of time so that it wouldn't be that earth-shattering or that reshaping of me. Like I wanted to get right. I wanted to get my head in the right place. I wanted to get financially secure. I wanted to get in a good place before I had kids. So if I'd had kids when I was younger, I think it probably would have affected my life in a much greater way. But because I waited, it was a lot of what I'd sort of planned on and anticipated.
Yeah, well said. And what about as far as discipline goes with the twins, Adam? What type of disciplinarian are you as a dad, and is that different than the discipline style that you grew up with?
I didn't grow up with any discipline at all, and I've basically kept the mantle going of being a horrible discipliner. I'm much more of an encourager than a discipliner, and it's not because I'm soft. It's just like my feeling is here is what a good life is. Here's what hard work is. Here's what you're going to have to try to emulate. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to work weekends. I do things like I would say to my son, I work all week, and then I would go out on the weekends and do comedy shows. And I would tell my son that if I go out of town and get paid and do a gig, you don't have to jump in the freezing cold swimming pool, which is something I do on a daily basis. But if I go out on a Saturday night and I just go to the Comedy Store and I just work out for free, if I do it for free, those days you need to get in the pool with me.
Yeah, really good stuff, Adam. And I seen you on Tucker Carlson there talking about the kids going back to school. I got 4 kids myself, 14, 13, 10, and 6. And, I drive Uber on the weekends, and I recently had one woman that had the vaccination, was wearing 2 masks, and she had already had coronavirus. And I'm thinking, like, what is it going to take in order for you to feel okay and safe again? And I don't know what it's going to take, but how has it been with you having the kids at home doing the homeschool virtual thing?
As far as Corona goes, my son doesn't give a crap about it, and my daughter gives less and less a crap about it as the days go on. I think at the beginning she kind of bought into the hype and she was freaked out. One thing we don't really focus on is how the news and the politicians completely freak the kids out. So my daughter got like some post-traumatic stress from the COVID thing. She didn't understand that she was young. She was not in a demo or group or an age range where it was really going to affect her seriously. So she got good and freaked out by it. My son never really cared. He was probably taking a page out of my book. And my kids are homeschooled now, or not homeschooled, but remote schooled, and it's a goddamn disaster. They end up sleeping too late. A lot of cheating going on. Everyone evidently cheats now. They just get all their answers from their friends, or they go to some math app or something. So lots of cheating, lots of lethargy, and basically just a wasted year.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, out of my 4 kids, I only have 3 of them go to Catholic school and 1 goes to public. And the public school he's been home since, it's a year now. He's been home since last March, and it's been devastating. It really has been. And I just don't understand why we can't get him back and going into school again. It's been enough is enough here. But I wanted to hit, what would you say then, Adam, are the top values that you're hoping to instill in the twins growing up?
Hard work. I feel like I got everywhere from hard work. So don't be scared to work for free. Don't be scared to have a goal and pursue it. Do not expect to be compensated for that for a while or maybe ever. I don't know. I work really hard and I work for free for long periods of time. And I'm not that interested in the scholastic stuff, and I'm not interested so much in the extracurricular stuff, but I am interested in them understanding that you got to work, like you got to learn to work. Like I've said to my son a bunch of times, look, you're a crappy student. You picked the right dad. I don't care. I don't care if you go to college or not, but you are going to have to learn how to work. And I learned how to work through necessity, but that's what I want. I want to instill that work ethic.
Yeah, and you mentioned there too. I ask a lot of the entrepreneurs that come on the show here too, just about college in general and whether or not is it necessary for kids to go to college to succeed in today's world. It seems like they should have like an influencer school, social media school. Like it seems like that's where everyone's making their money right now online. And yet now you have kids that are paying these big ticket educations for college and they're home in the basement doing it online. So I don't know. Is it you? What do you think? Is it worth it to send the kids to college? Do they need it to succeed today?
I personally, I don't think so, but I come from the world of entertainment, and carpentry and being a boxing coach. There's not a lot of college between those 3 entities. Most of the people I know that are successful will tell a story about going to college for a couple of years and then dropping out and then pursuing whatever it is they're doing now. So it usually involves an internship or getting a job in the mailroom somewhere or going to the radio station and being the van driver. All the stories of success that I hear about are stories of showing up somewhere, making yourself useful and, being of service.
Yeah, and then getting into what you do, you mentioned entertainment there, Adam. Right now, I mean, Pepe Le Pew just went down. Dr. Seuss, they're dropping like Mr. Potato Head here. How difficult is it, like in the comedy world, to walk this line? What kind of advice would you have for the parents out there that got kids that are interested in pursuing a comedy career? How do they what line do they walk? Who can they insult? Like, how has this affected the comedy world?
Well, it's probably greatly impacted it. I would say, look, if you want to get into comedy, what do you have to say? What's your voice? What's your opinion? What's your angle? Who are you? Why did you? I mean, some people get into it to get famous, I guess, or to get paid, but that's not a good reason to get into comedy. My feeling is like, what is it? What do you have to say? And Don't get into it unless you have something to say. And if you have something to say, then you have to say it. Otherwise, this is a waste. So for me, my feeling is I just say whatever it is I want to say, and I don't think about the consequences that much. And I'd probably have a possibly different career if I did. But on the other hand, I got to look in the mirror every morning. Why? What kind of comedian, licks his finger, puts it in the air, and tries to figure out which way the wind is blowing? And by the way, the wind is shifting every different direction every 10 minutes in this crazy woke society we're living in. So go out there and say it. Now, my daughter, it's kind of interesting because my daughter is very progressive and my son is very conservative. So I have conversations with my son about being canceled. I don't have those conversations with my daughter because she's on the cancel side. She's a canceler, not a cancel-e. My son is on the cancel-e side of the political spectrum. So I basically said to him, look, say whatever you want, but you better be good. I mean, you better have a skill. You better bring something to the party, or you will be canceled. So get a trade, be a killer welder, fabricator, carpenter, or be a killer comedian, but you better be good. Don't just get a job hosting The Bachelor. You get a job hosting The Bachelor, then you can be canceled. If you have a job where you create your own work, where you sell your own books, where you sell out your own clubs or theaters, where you tour, you have your own podcast. If you can create your own material, then you can't be canceled, but you better be good. So anyone who's not good better shut the hell up in this new culture and this new age. But if you're really good, then say what you want.
Yeah, very well said, Adam. And I see that just doing this show. Like whenever I brought on guys, like I've had Eric Trump on the show, Mike Pompeo, Sean Hannity, I've gotten absolutely hammered on social media for bringing them on. And I don't get that blowback from when I bring somebody from the other side on, when I bring a Democratic senator or something like that. I don't get that threat of I'm unfollowing you, I'm unsubscribing from you. And it just seems to all go that one way. So it kind of sucks to see that, but that's the way it is.
I know. They're always like, I get the same thing. Like, oh, why'd you have Donald Trump Jr. on the show? So I don't know. Why have 1,000 progressive people on the show? It's a guest. You recognize the name. It's the president's son. He's got something to say. He wrote a book, whatever. Anyone's welcome on the show. And their thing is they act like they have to approve the guest, or they get to see the list of people that are okay for the show and not okay for the show. And by the way, how insecure are you in your positions that you can't handle hearing people who differ from you?
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know why it's just if you don't want to, don't listen. Why does nobody get to listen? It's the same thing I feel like with the Dr. Seuss thing. If you don't want to read the book, don't read it. You don't have to take it away from everybody. Same thing with the masks. If you're scared to go out, stay home. Why everybody? So I don't understand the logic when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So,
yeah, I know. It's like, well, we can't open the restaurants. Well, if you're too big a puss to go to a restaurant, then stay home.
Right, and let everybody go out that wants to. But like I said, I'll get in trouble just for that piece, just to say that. But it is what it is, And I'm curious to ask you, because you got two teenagers in the house. I do too. I got a 14 and 13-year-old. I have three boys, and my youngest is my only girl. She's only 6 right now, so got a while to go yet. But I'll tell you what. With my two teenagers, man, it's like hygiene. I can't stress it enough, and they don't seem to do it enough. Like I walk into my son's room, and I'm like, man, it smells like the whole football team locker room was in here. Like, are you having this with your teenagers? Or they take care of their hygiene? Or you got to get on them after this stuff? What am I doing wrong here?
No, I don't know, but whatever you're doing wrong, I'm doing it as well. My son's room stinks to high heaven. I have a 110-pound black lab who just sleeps on his bed. The lab likes to go in the swimming pool, and then he comes out, then he goes onto my son's bed. And so it smells like gym socks and wet dog. That's what my son, my daughter's fine because, she's a girl and she's into it. She won't let the dog or my son into her room because they both smell. But yeah, my son's got a super stinky room.
Yeah, I'm trying to guess that, I look back with the goggles on saying like, oh, well, my room never, like mine must have smelled like roses and lilacs like when I was a kid growing up. That's the way they think anyway. But I guess mine did as well. But this is something that we stress it all the time on. We're always getting after it. Um, and what about now? Obviously, the Adam Carolla podcast is humongous. What was the genesis of you starting the podcast, Adam? And what are your plans and goals for it in the future?
I got let go from my radio station that I worked at in 2009, and I didn't have a radio job for the first time in, God, I don't know, 14 years or something. So I was just like, well, I want to keep talking into a microphone, and I just took it right from the radio. The radio was podcasted. The show had millions of minutes of streaming on the computer every month. We would find out about it. So I knew there was a sort of audience out there on a computer who could stream the show. So I just took it right from the radio studio to my home studio.
And where are you taking? What kind of plans and goals do you have here for yourself in the future, Adam?
I don't know. I don't really work that way. I kind of show up and go to work every day. I have documentaries I'm making, so there's a lot of those that are kind of out there in various stages of completion. I have a sixth book I'm going to start writing soon enough. But I just kind of show up. I just kind of get up and show up. That's sort of what I used to do. Have a kind of blue collar nature. So for me, I've just kind of turned show business into a job, like almost like a blue collar job. So and look, it could be to my detriment, but I just sort of get up and go to work every day.
Very cool. Yeah, I like your style. I know we're up against it here. Last thing I want to hit you with, Adam. I love to ask all the dads that get on the podcast, what type of advice do you have for that new dad or for that about to be father who's out there listening?
I would say don't, live and die with everything that the kid does and doesn't do. Kids they just kind of go through these phases. You're not going to do a lot. You're not going to do as much shaping as you think you're going to do. I love playing Pop Warner football and high school football. I love football. Football made me who I am today, and my son's got zero interest in football, and there's nothing I can do to change that. So I'm not going to try to push that rock up a hill. If he's not into it, he's not into it. Find something else he's into. I also used to ride the unicycle a lot, and he does kind of want to know how to ride the unicycle now. So, all right, he doesn't like football, but I can try to get him up on the unicycle. So, do a little less of that. And to me, it's really about the wife and kind of dealing with her and how she interacts with the kid, or not how she interacts, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that's important to your wife that's not that important to you. You got to act like it's important to you, even if it's not.
Yeah, very, very well said. I love the message. This has been an honor for me. I got to say, Adam Carolla, you're first class father all the way. And thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
Thanks, Alec.